Lifting 300 kilograms in one haul, this woman took on the world of weightlifting. She is the face of Korean weightlifting, gold medalist Jang Mi-ran. Let us go back in time to 2 months before the championship. Meditating weightlifters. The concept does seem a little strange. Among them sits Jang Mi-ran. This was ultimately the basis of her ability to become the world champion. It is called image training. With her eyes closed, she imagined the scene of her championship match. From how many steps she would take to walk up to the podium, to how she would hold the weights and lift them up. Then how the people would applaud as she came back down from the podium. Jang filmed the entire scene in her mind in extreme detail, just like a movie. And her imagined scene became reality.
근데 내가 시합 전날 저녁부터 이제 어떻게 자고 그 다음에 일어나서 어떻게 뭐 하고 아침 어떻게 먹고 또 개체는 어떻게 하며 뭐 1차식, 2차식이, 3차식이 어떻게 하고 몸 푸는 거까지 다 자기가 이렇게 짜요. 그냥 시나리오라고 할 수 있죠?
마음속으로?
예. 글로 쓰기도 하고요. 마음속으로 그리기도 해서 그대로.
Sometimes, if we strongly desire something, miracles can occur. This is the story of one woman's imaginary pregnancy. In scientific terms, it is also known as pseudocyesis, or pseudo-pregnancy. Originating from a strong desire for motherhood, the body begins to undergo a series of changes, mimicking a genuine pregnancy.
배도 나오고요. 뭐 이렇게 그 가슴도 저 임신하면 띵띵하게 아파지고 이렇게 임신 증상을 다 아니까 제가 근데 거의 같아요. 생리 없어지고 가슴도 커지고 그다음에 막 이렇게 미식거리고 그다음에 한기도 들거든요. 임신하면 예 초기에 열이 오르기 때문에 근데 그 막 한기도 들고 감기 몸살처럼 예 그러니까 진짜 감기 몸살이었을 것 같은데 안 먹죠. 임신인 줄 알고 약을 안 먹고. 서너 번. 그래서 어느 때는 뭐 너무 이게 속이 안 좋아서 뭐 버스 1시간쯤 타고 집에 가는데 병원에서 뭐 20분 만에 내려서 3번 갈아탄 적도 있어요. 제가. 근데 그거 완전 뇌의 작용이었어요. 상상 임신이었지 위에 이상 없었거든요. 전혀 없었거든요. 그래서 그때 정말 아무튼 많이 울었죠. 그리고 얼마나 원하면 충분히 그런 증상을 다 나타낼 수 있을까를 저는 완전 체험했었죠.
Meanwhile, there are some unlikely cases where a pregnant woman is completely unaware of the baby growing in her womb.
저희한테 오셨을 때 처음에는 이제 배가 자꾸 딱딱해지니까 암이 있는가, 그래서 복부 암이 있는가를 검사하러 오셨어요. 처음에는 이제 저희도 이제 암에 대한 검사를 하려고 검진을 딱 의뢰를 하고 초음파를 보려고 누우셨는데 너무 뜻밖으로 아기가 그대로 그냥 다 큰 만삭의 아기가 딱 들어있어서
Im Ok-bun did not know she was pregnant until 3 days before she went into labor. That is how her daughter, Haekyung, was born.
근데는 계속 진짜 드는 의문이 어떻게 모를 수 있냐. 그게 참.
진짜 모르겠어.
배는 지금 배도 안 나왔어. 배는 나왔을 거 아니에요.
지금요 그 배는 똑같아요.
예?
똑같아요.
그때는 지금 임신했을 때는 지금.
햇살이 맞아가지고
죄송합니다.
햇살이 맞아가지고 그랬어요.
1%의 임신이라도 생각을 전혀 안 했어요?
안 했어요. 임신이라고 조차도 생각은 안 했어요.
근데
원래 뚱뚱한데
같은
조금
여자
더
입장에서
같은
보시기에
예.
그게 가능하시냐는
가능하지.
생각을 안
모르겠어요.
하니까 이제는
임신이라고 생각을 안 하시니까
안 하고 그냥 막 지내니까
모르죠.
나이도 있고
나이도
하니까
그래요.
그렇지.
가능할 수도 있어요.
가능하지 그거는.
Our bodies are extremely systematic. The lungs, the heart. Each part has its own distinct role and carries it out flawlessly. However, the brain is different. The brain does not function in a regular, methodical way. Therefore, at times it can perform certain functions, and at other times fail to do so. Let us now consider the areas of the brain responsible for the body's sensory and motor reflexes. Because the system module on which the brain operates is not fixed, it can fall under an illusion. Bok Bong-soo lost his left arm in a car accident. However, something strange occurred soon afterwards.
이렇게 막 찌릿찌릿찌릿하니 막그 이상한 그 아픔이 이 없는 손으로 와요. 그게 딴 사람들이 생각할 때는 없는 손이 아픈 게 무슨 고통이 있냐 그렇게 생각할지를 모르는데 이건 오히려 직접 아픈 것보다 더 그 머리가 막 그 미칠 것처럼 그 아픈 증상이 와서요 더.
This feeling is shared by Kim Hae-gyun, who lost his leg in 2004 while saving a child on the railroad.
처음에 저도 몇 번 속았어요. 그래가지고 어떤 데는 발이 막 간지럽고 그래가지고 이렇게 만지다 보면 이제 허공을 짚고 의자가 안 차고 있을 때 실제는 없는데 거기가 자꾸 뭐 간지럽기도 하고 좀 찌릿찌릿하기도 하고 그래가지고.
Phantom limb pain is the experience of pain in an area where an amputated limb used to be. World-renowned scholar V.S. Ramachandran claims that all of these are acts of the brain.
Well, one of the things we found was if the arm is amputated and you touch the same side of the face, the patient claims you're touching his fingers, the phantom fingers. And the patient himself is sometimes very surprised by this. And you touch different points on the face, it's different fingers on the phantom hand are being touched. That's what the patient reports. Now, why does this happen? Well, it turns out there is a complete map of the surface of the body, including the hand and the face, the entire body surface, on the opposite side of the brain.
Canadian neurosurgeon Wilder Penfield discovered that the sizes that register in our brain's cortex, responsible for specific movements, differs from the actual size of our body parts. This is Penfield's map of the brain. This is the region responsible for the senses. The face and hands not only occupy a large area, they are also located very close to each other. When the hands are absent, the face takes their place. It is the same with the motor cortex. Those parts that are close together end up affecting one another. According to neurologists, this is because the body parts that require coordinated movement occupy a greater number of brain cells. Using this machine, we can discover how well the brain is connected to parts of the body. When certain parts of the brain are stimulated with a magnetic field, the connected body part reacts.
친구의 여기거든요. 딱 정확하게 엄지 움직이는 데가.
And I'm the patient. And my left hand is the phantom.
Using the brain's misjudgment, Professor Ramachandran devised a solution for phantom limb patients.
It looks like the left hand has come back. See, my left hand is here, but it looks like my left hand has come back. And when I move this, I'm the patient looking in the mirror, it looks like the phantom is moving. So many of these patients have clenching spasms in the phantom.
Right.
So I ask them to do this and open the right hand like that, and the phantom looks like it's opening.
Right.
And this, in some patients, relieves the painful cramp in the phantom. The visual feedback goes and seems to go all the way to somatosensory regions of the brain and cause the phantom to open up and relieves the pain. Whereas if the patient just tries to open the phantom by himself, it doesn't work. He starts sweating and he can't open it.
Could this be an effective solution? The team took Professor Ramachandran's mirror box to Bokpongsu to test it out.
그런데
막네 어떻게.
저기 손이 있네
느낌이-
진짜 저렇게 하니까니 참
손이 있잖아요, 왼손이.
저렇게 있어야 되는데 지금 없으니 이게
Polk's wife expresses her sadness at the illusion of her husband's restored arm. Although it is only the image in a mirror box, emotion floods Kim Heng-gyun's face as he looks down at his two legs.
의식이 이제 이쪽은 일부러 의식을 하려면 이쪽이 의식이 되는데 의식 안 한 상황에서 지금 현재 그대로 되면 이게 오른발 같고 이게 왼발 같고 그냥 이게 내 발 같습니다. 나한테
김생님 발 같죠?
그런 좀 느끼네요.
느껴져요?
예.
In the end, this proves that phantom limb pain is something sensed by the brain. It is now clear that the pain we feel in a missing hand is the function of a brain synapse. If so, then wouldn't altering our synaptic connections alter the way we think? Scholars call this kind of alteration synaptic plasticity. One could say that this is what dominates the entire brain. Brain waves, electrical signals from the brain, change in form according to which thoughts are being processed. In other words, when our thoughts change, our brain waves are affected. We decided to perform an interesting experiment. To discover just how much influence people's thoughts can have on their bodies, we decided to embark on a new project. We created a sampling event for a newly developed type of milk, posting an advertisement on the internet for applicants.
하시다가 몸에 많이 그 무리한 어떤 영향을 받으셨던 이렇게 일을 진행하면서 경쟁업체 쪽에서
Among them, 2 people were informed of the experiment and were given prior instructions.
이번 그 우리는 다른 데서 쓰지 않는
약간 신물질을 저희가 좀 첨가를 했습니다. 그게 이제 뭐 콜라겐, 뭐 이바포렌이라든가 이런 어떤 독특한 저희들만이 사용하는 그런 것을 넣기 때문에 아마 그 맛보시는 분들 중에서 약간 민감한 분들은 그 맛을 갖다가 약간 차이를 느끼실 수도 있고.
The participants were asked to fill out a survey just like an actual sampling event. They were then asked to check the taste and smell of the milk.
우유 맛이 그냥 덜 강해서 자주 먹을 수 있을 것 같고요.
그리고 이렇게 먹으면 먹을수록 고소하고 되게 신선하다는 느낌. 그 정도.
처음 먹었을 때 가볍고 고소한 맛이 있고
물의 비율이 좀 더 많은 것 같아요.
좀 옅은 기분이다.
네, 네.
마신 지 얼마 안 됐나? 네.
속이
어떻게 안 좋으세요?
체했을 때 자주 더 그럴 것 같아요. 네?
아까 괜찮다 그랬죠?
As soon as one of the participants, an actress who had been given instructions beforehand, shows a negative reaction, the others also begin to look uneasy. Soon after, when asked about the taste of the milk, their answers change.
저는 공복에 좀 많이 먹어서 그런지 속이 좀 무거운 느낌이에요. 가벼운 게 아니고 약간
무거워진 느낌이세요?
네.
무겁다 그러면 어떤?
그러니까 뭐가 이렇게 체한 것처럼 여기 이렇게 좀 막 이렇게 딱 내려가는 느낌이 아니고
입에서 올라오면서 그런 이렇게 맛이야. 좀 비리다고 해야 되나?
The team began their second experiment, claiming to introduce a different type of milk. The milk was, of course, fresh and the same as the one used in the prior experiment.
이거 무슨 팩으로 된 거 있잖아요. 유통기한 오래된 될 수 있는 그 우유 있잖아요.
At this point, another candidate spat out the milk, acting very distressed. This was also a prior instruction given by the production team. Observe the reactions of the other participants.
약간 우유컵을 잘 안 씻어서 그런가? 그럼 약간 뭐 처음에 딱 그 우유 비린 맛을 제가 원래 잘 못 느끼거든요. 근데 약간 그 먹었을 때 좀 이런 느낌이 좀 있어. 좀 이런 느낌이 좀 있었어요.
되게 비린 냄새가 되게 많이 나서 먹기가 좀 꺼려지는 거 있잖아요.
In the end, 2 of the participants ran to the bathroom. The next day, one of the participants suffered from unpleasant side effects.
뭐 정신없이 가려운, 그러니까 여기가 처음에는 뭐 여긴가? 뭐 어디가 간지러웠었거든요. 그래서 근데 또 진짜 간지러운 거, 아토피보다 더 간지러운 거 있잖아요. 막. 그래서 여기만 그러다가 이제 온몸 밤이 되니까 온몸이 진짜 열이 나면서 너무 진짜 막 긁었는데 이렇게 여기가 진짜 빨개지고요. 팅팅 붓고 막. 그러니까 긁어도 보통 때는 이렇게 많이 붓진 않거든요. 근데 되게 막 많이 붓고 막 여기 이렇게 됐어요.
원래 또 두드러기가 노출 부위에 잘 생겨. 뭐 저 일종의 식중독이니까 그 우유가 맞지 않으면 첫째 우선 설사하고 두 번째 피부에 발진이 나요.
As a result, her negative thoughts had an effect on her body. Going beyond psychological distress, they caused a physical rash.
얼굴 좋아지셨나요?
Soon afterwards, the production team explained the purpose of the milk sampling event and met once more with Lee Ju-yeon.
그런 반응을 이렇게 심리적으로 유도한 거죠.
아 그럼 그 사람들 짜고 한 거예요?
예.
아 진짜요?
예.
The adverse influence of negative thoughts is apparent in numerous areas of society.
지난 85년 미국 다우코닝사에서 만든 실리콘 팩을 넣는 유방 확대 수술을 받은 이모 씨는 94년부터 가슴 한쪽이 작아지기 시작했습니다. 실리콘이 쪼그라들면서 가슴이 아파왔고 3년 뒤에는 다리에까지 통증이 오기 시작했습니다.
심한 경우에는 피부 조직이 썩어 들어가고 관절염을 호소하는 경우도 보고됐습니다.
나중에는 아직 규명이 되지 않았습니다만 암까지 일으킬 수 있다.
After the verdict, there was a stir of silicone removal operations at Dow Corning.
그 판결이 나기 전에도 문제가 있는 경우에는 제거를 했었고요. 판결이 난 후에도 문제가 있는 경우는 제거를 했는데 그 판결이 나고 난 다음에 그 제거 수술은 폭발적으로 증가했었거든요. 한동안. 근데 그게 문제가 있어서 제거했다기보다는 그 판결로 인한 환자들의 욕구 같은 거라고 볼 수 있습니다. 즉 판결 때문에 불안해지고 무섭고 뭐 그거 갖고 있으면 몸에서 병 생긴다고 하니까 환자들이 아 이거 갖고 있으면 큰일 나겠구나 라는 걱정 때문에
그 보도를 봤을 때 본인 몸에 그게 들어 있었잖아요. 그때 기분이 어떠셨어요?
그러니까 불안하고 사실 저 수술하면 아무도 모르는데 그걸 누구하고 뭐 상담하기도 그렇고 그래서 밤에 잠도 잘 못 자고 이렇게 병원에 정신과 병원에 가서 수면제도 이렇게 처방해서 먹고 그랬어요.
그 보도 보고 불안하셨어요?
네, 불안해요. 그거 참 불안했던 것 같아요.
그게 이게 제거하게 된 큰 많은 이유 중에 하나는 되죠.
네, 그 유해 물질이 몸속에 들어있으니까 항상 그게 머릿속에 쫓아다니니까 무슨 일도 잘 안 되고 애들한테 짜증 부리게 되고 하여튼간에 뭐 사회생활하는 것도 가정생활하는 데도 있어서도 아주 큰 지장이었어요.
It was later ruled that there was a connection between silicone implants and rheumatism. At the time, the use of silicone was forbidden in the US, Korea, and the Philippines. In Europe, it is still used even today.
이게 이제 그림에서 본 거예요. 이래가지고.
잡아주십시오.
Recently, however, the American Rheumatism Association ruled that there was no connection, and very soon it will be back in use. Ironic, isn't it?
줄줄 내려오는데 얘는 반 딱 잘라놔도
6시 방향 캔슬하고
We decided to perform another interesting experiment related to thought.
지금 검지 끝을 생각해야 돼요. 네. 머릿속으로 검지 끝에 집중하라고 여기다. 예? 여기다 집중을 쭉 하세요. 여기다 생각을 여기 집중하고 좀 있다가 눈 감고 실험이 되면 누군가의 손끝을 타치할 거예요. 여기 손끝을. 그 감각을 느껴보시라고.
손끝만
끝에만 검지 끝에 집중하세요.
느낌 아시죠? 타치하는 느낌.
누가 타치할 거예요.
예, 타치 이렇게 할 거니까. 자, 그러면은 눈 감고. 자, 그거 집중하고 계세요. 예. 자, 하겠습니다.
This is how the experiment worked. The participant was first told someone would soon touch his finger, and then kept waiting. This would cause his thoughts to be directed towards his forefinger. Yet concentrating on a certain part alone caused the brain to react as if it had actually been touched. Through thought and imagination alone, the area of the brain connected to the forefinger was activated.
느낌은 계속 오른손가락에만 집중하고 있었으니까 이렇게 손가락 주변 약간 좀 찌릿찌릿하면서 그냥 계속 뭐 전기가 오른다고 할까요? 그런 느낌이었어요.
이제 결과로서는 그 어떤 접촉 없이도 뇌가 활성화된다는 것을 확인할 수 있었습니다. 네, 상상만으로도요.
A large-scale study of the relationship between thoughts and the body is being undertaken here. Supported by the American Healthcare Association, This study researches the strengthening of muscles through the power of thought.
Till it matches the top line and hold it there for 5 seconds, then relax. So that's the exercise is trying getting to that line.
So now we can see this button is going up to the
He thinks it's going up, but it's not going up on the screen, but he's just thinking it's going up. So everything is in his mind.
The subject imagines the lifted line for 5 seconds and then rests for 5 seconds. This is repeated 50 times. It was not actual physical exercise, yet the results after 3 months were astounding. Both older and younger subjects had developed stronger muscles, and the less frequently used muscles were even more greatly affected.
So instead of actually doing an exercise, but they think in their mind they're doing it. And we measure the strength change that happens due to the training. And after the 3 months of training, we find that they have a 15% increase in the elbow flexion strength gain.
There are 2 ways of strengthening our muscles. One way is through physical exercise. The other way is through training the brain using one's imagination. Professor Kwang H. Ye and his team attempted to strengthen the body's muscles by activating the corresponding motor cortex.
And that part of the brain may be trained, and that part of the brain may send stronger signal to the motor cortex or some other lower level brain regions. And then eventually these regions send signal back to muscle and increase the strength.
Yeah, I felt strong. After about the third session, I felt a lot stronger already in my left arm, which was the one I was using all the time, or using it for the experiment.
This should be enough to convince anyone of the power of the mind. Let us then reveal how Dr. Kwang used imagination to strengthen the muscles. Why don't you give it a try?
So if you are interested in how to do this, and you can imagine that if you want to increase your elbow flexion strength, and the way to do it is that you can put your forearm underneath the table, and then you try to think that your arm is lift very strongly, but not actually do it. Just think the arm is lift very strongly, and try to you tell your arm to go up and lift the table to go lift the table and let the table go up the ground, or you can think that your arm is against a very heavy object and you try to move the object away. So that's the way, the actual procedure you can try.
Any specific task, so you just go in your mind how to do it, you practice in your mind, and then when you actually have to do it, it becomes very simple because your brain is already trained to do the task. So it becomes very easy to do it.
내가 가상으로 생각을 할 때 직접 한다는 느낌으로 하면 그것이 굉장히 많이 도움이 되죠. 그러니까 정말 나도 모르는 상황이 딱 나왔을 때, 그 상황이 나왔을 때 나도 모르게 그 대처 방안이 탁 거기서 나오는 거죠.
싸움을 많이 해야 돼요, 이원희 선수. 흔들어보는 이원희. 앞으로 14초. 끝까지 당겨야죠.
9 seconds before the match ended, he defeated his Russian opponent in a single round. Lee Won-hee, the hero of Korean judo, won the country's first gold medal at the Athens Olympic Games. He knows better than anyone else how to use the strength of his imagination. As soon as the match program is announced, he begins an imaginary competition with his opponent. It is merely in his head, but he begins to assume each exact position and move as if it were a real match.
어떤 선수를 지목해서 그 선수랑 이제 연습을 하는 가상으로 연습을 하는 거죠. 연습을 하면 그 선수가 장기 어떻게 잡고 어떤 기술을 들어오는지 그거를 이제 생각을 하고 나는 거기에 대한 대처 방안을 이제 생각을 하는 거죠. 가상 현실 속으로 이제 계속 그거를 이미지 트레이닝을 이렇게 계속 하는 거죠. 그렇죠.
The great advantage of image training is that it is not physically exhausting or limiting. There is a famous case of image training in Japan. It is the story of Asari Junko, who won the 1993 World Track and Field Championship.
その時からそのコースマラソンコースを走ってるイメージをずっと思い描いていて、で4月に現地にドイツに行って試走したんですけども、その時にマラソンコースを走ってそれまでのイメージよりもますます強いイメージを持って、でレース展開も想像とか作って、本番もその通りに本当にイメージ通りにいったっていう思いで、
熱心に、メンタルトレーニングイコールイメージトレーニングをやったおかげで、世界選手権のチャンピオンになれたっていうことですね。このまさにもうメンタルトレーニングが 7,8 割の割合を占めてるんじゃないかなと思ってます。
In her most peaceful state, Asari Junko began constructing detailed images in her mind amidst these alpha waves. She imagined the actual course, taking over the runner before her at the 32-kilometer point downhill slope, and finishing first. This was the exact point where she took the lead in the actual race.
Of course, 金メダルをかけてもらうシーンと、日の丸が真ん中にセンターポールに上がるシーンと、あとはそこはドイツのシュツットガルトという町でベンツの町だったんですけど、優勝者にはベンツがプレゼントされるっていうことだったので、ベンツも思い浮かべながらです。
The key to effective image training lies in the brain. Our brains cannot differentiate between an actual and imagined experience. By taking advantage of this weakness, we can reap astounding results. Through the psychological effect of belief and expectancy, even fake pills can bring about cures. This is what is known as the placebo effect. But just how effective is it? With the cooperation of a certain hospital, we decided to run a little test on orthopedic patients in order to study the placebo effect.
중독성이 없으면서 만성적으로 고통을 호소하시는 분들한테 굉장히 효과가 좋은 약으로 알려져 있습니다. 저녁 주무실 때나 내일 아침에 일어나셔서 지금보다도 통증이 감소되고 좋아지실 거라고 저희가 생각을 합니다.
따끔하세요.
6 patients were given vitamin C injections instead of painkillers. And the following day,
아프신 게 어떠세요? 변화가 있으셨습니까?
어제 주사 맞고는 바로는 몰랐는데요.
네.
맞고 에스카레이터를 타고 오는데 궁뎅이 한쪽이 되게 무겁더라고요. 무거운데 와서 한 30분 후 되니까 풀리더라고요. 풀리는데 풀리고 나서는 몸이 조금 가볍더라고요.
가벼우시고 오늘 아침에 일어나시니까 통증이 좀 없으신 것 같아요.
네, 조금 괜찮은 것 같아요.
근데 있죠, 이렇게 전에는 이게 아프잖아요. 근데 이제 아프지 않고 좀 부드럽고 나요. 근데 어저께 있죠, 좀 나은 것 같아요.
For 2 of the 6 women who were given vitamin C, the effects were even better than that of painkillers. For another 2, the results were the same. And for the remaining 2, there was no effect. In the medical profession, the placebo effect has been utilized for years. Only 50 years ago, many placebo medicines, which did not contain any medicinal ingredients, were used.
Is what we call expectation. And that is what people expect to happen from a treatment is often what does happen. And somehow what we anticipate is going to happen to us has a lot to do with what actually does.
And they're working not because of the medication, but because of the belief in the medication. This is true with many herbs, with many pharmaceuticals, with many forms of surgery, with many forms of relationships. They come about because of belief and expectancy.
In terms of the placebo effect, doctors are the most effective. Just by meeting with a doctor, a patient's symptoms can improve. The movie Patch Adams portrayed the model of a good doctor. We met with the actual doctor who the movie was based on.
The other apartment is like this too.
He met us wearing his original clown nose. We interviewed the man who shed his dignity as a doctor to become a clown, all for his patient's sake.
What does patient mean to you?
Friend. My ideal patient is somebody who wants a deep, intimate friendship with me all my life. So that over time we grow close to each other and we see our children born, we see life happen to us, our successes and our failures, and if something comes along and you are dying or you have pain that the doctor can't help, or some kind of suffering or some chronic disease, that the relationship of friendship that you have built with the patient is the medicine. So you're telling the patient you've seen for 30 years, you touch him and you say, I'm sorry, you have cancer. I promise to stay with you. I promise. You can touch them, and the relationship gives you the chance to have what for me is the greatest experience life has to offer, which is friendship. That in medicine, one operates best as a doctor in the context of what is great for everybody, which is friends.
A doctor's characteristic placebo is based on his or her patient's faith and expectation. A good doctor can be an astounding form of healing that plants hope in the hearts of many patients. Professor Groupman was the attending physician of King Jordan Hussein, who passed away from cancer. He is a world-renowned expert in the research of hope. He discovered, while researching the process of recovery, just how important the role of hope can be.
But then I realized, talking to my patients and thinking about my own experience when I was sick, that hope really is central. Hope is a central part of the human experience. And just like every emotion has a basis in the mind, whether it's anger or love or fear, whatever it is, it has a chemical basis and it has consequences for the brain and the body. So why wouldn't hope?
Professor Groupman, who suffered for 19 years due to an incorrect back surgery, is researching the power and working mechanism of hope. His discoveries include the biological effects of hope.
People who believe and expect, based on hope, that they may prevail, that they may succeed, they release these chemicals in their brain. It gives them a sense of well-being, and for a patient who often is in pain because of cancer or AIDS or some other terrible disease, they lower the level of pain.
Belief and expectancy, which are the essential factors of hope, cause the brain to secrete endorphins and encephalin, which have the same pain-killing effects of morphine. At times, they can affect even the most basic bodily functions, such as respiration and motor reflexes, in an important way. Our bodies possess an extraordinary system that can protect us from harmful foreign agents. When bacteria enter our bodies, they are attacked by neutrophils, a type of white blood cell. When they can ingest no more, they explode. This forms what we commonly refer to as pus. When the neutrophils weaken, macrophage cells ingest the bacteria. When the macrophage cells ingest bacteria, part of it is discharged, at which point T cells distinguish whether they are pathogens or not. If it is a pathogen, a substance called interleukin is secreted. The B cell receives this command and produces an antibody which can destroy the bacteria. A body with immune deficiency is one where this mechanism has become weak. This mechanism of immunity can change according to our thoughts.
Because nothing in medicine is absolute. Nothing in medicine is what we call written in stone. There's uncertainty in medicine. Even the worst cancers sometimes shrink. As I write in the book, sometimes the tumor does not read the textbook. So you have to hold out true hope that there is this biological variability, that perhaps even if the chances are 1 in 20 or 1 in 50, we'll do everything possible to make you that one person. And that's true hope.
For Pandora, who lost everything, the thing that remained at the bottom of her box was hope. Who was Pandora, and what is her story? Out of curiosity, Pandora succumbed to temptation and did the one thing that Zeus had forbidden her to do, as he presented to her a box. She opened it. The box contained all kinds of human blessings and curses. But as soon as the box was opened, the curses were scattered across the earth and the blessings disappeared. As she sat discouraged and in despair, one thing remained in the box before her. It was hope. Hope. Hope is humankind's last remaining gift. In 1997, Han Man-chung, the former director of Seoul National University Hospital, was diagnosed with stage 4 liver cancer. The cancer had begun in the liver and spread to the lungs. There seemed to be no hope of recovery. However, his liver and lungs are now completely cancer-free. He claims that a positive attitude and hope were the most important weapons in his fight with cancer.
생존 가능성이 5% 이내다, 1% 이내다, 3% 이내다 그러거든요. 그게 주치의가 나한테 특기적 결혼을 하고는 그때는 15% 내외라고 그랬는데 내가 그 거짓말이라는 건 나도 알았고. 대개 볼 때 가능성이 1% 미만이거든. 내 책에는 5% 이내라고 그랬지만 가능성이 별로 없어요. 그런데 이제 그렇게 친구 돈을 생각하고 이렇게 이 파라다임을 바꾸니까 어떤 생각이 떠오르냐 하면은 그러면 누가 5%를 사느냐? 누가 95%를 죽고? 누군가는 살 거 아니냐 말이지. 그럴 땐 내가 5%가 되면 되는 거야.
Professor Lee Hee-dae, bustling to the surgery room, is a cancer patient. He is also the manager of this cancer clinic and one of the country's few expert breast cancer surgeons. Until now, he has operated on more than 2,000 patients. Professor Lee, who had fought cancer for the past 20 years, discovered in 2003 that he was in the final stage of rectal cancer. He underwent both removal surgery and treatment. He received every kind of cancer treatment that he had prescribed to his patients as a doctor, but the cancer continued to spread to his liver and pelvic bone. He has received more surgery and treatment and is still undergoing cancer treatment.
요새 건강 어떻습니까?
좋습니다.
특별히 지금도 투병 중이고 그러신 건 아닌가요?
제 속에 아직 암이 있죠. 암이 있는데 이제 내가 이렇게 건강하다는 생각을 할 수 있는 거 이게 상당히 보통 사람들은 생각하기 힘들죠. 특별히 또 암 환자들은 더 힘든데 역설적으로 어떻게 생각을 하면은 마음이 편안할 수 있냐 하면은 우리가 이제 70, 80, 90 되면 사람은 누구나 죽죠. 근데 70, 80, 90대에서 이제 우리 병원 입장에서 볼 때 시신을 기증을 한다든지 아니면 무슨 사고가 생겼다든지 아니면 무슨 경찰에서 조사가 필요할 때 우리가 그 시신을 부검을 하게 되거든요. 부검을 해서 보면 암이 있는 분들이 꽤 많이 있거든요. 근데 그분이 70, 80, 90을 사실 동안에 암으로 고통을 받았느냐 하면 아니에요, 전혀. 암이 있지만 일생 같이 산 거예요. 근데 그러면은 그 사람도 암 환자죠. 그렇지만 모르고 편하게 살아왔다는 그런 생각을 우리가 할 수가 있죠.
There is a saying that misery loves company. Yet making his rounds and performing surgery, Professor Lee is a source of hope for his patients. And he finds his own source of hope in his recovering patients. Here is a message from the professor.
제가 이제 암 환자를 치료하는 암 전문인데요. 이제 원숭이가 나무에서 떨어졌습니다. 저도 이제 암에 걸렸으니까. 근데 그 암에 걸린 것도 보통 정도가 아니라 암사기면은 이제 우리가 말기라고 표현을 하는데 그런 말기의 고통을 제가 한 3년 정도 수술도 4번 하고 방사선 치료도 3번 하고 항암제 치료도 2번 이상 하면서 상당히 절망적인 순간에 많이들 빠져들어갔죠. 또 특별히 저 수술하고 1년 있는 그 중간에는 저도 사실은 저 자신을 포기한 적이 있었고 또 주위에서도 저 친구 참 아까운데 이제 죽었구나 하는 소문이 날 정도로 그렇게 됐는데 그 어떤 순간에 저한테 그 믿음하고 소망이 들어오는 계기가 돼서 이렇게 지금 잘 이겨가고 있습니다. 물론 제 속에 약간의 암이 존재한다는 것은 부정할 수가 없지만 그러나 그럼에도 불구하고 내가 그거를 이겨가고 있고 또 이겨가는 증거가 컴퓨터 촬영이나 수치상에서 나타나고 있기 때문에 혹시 여러분들이 암에 걸렸거나 고통 중에 있다고 하더라도 내가 그 질병과 암을 이길 수 있다는 그런 내 속에 오기가 있으면 얼마든지 우리가 암 사기를 넘어서 오기로 갈 수 있지 않을까 하는 그런 과정이 있다고 생각을 하고 힘을 내십시오. 힘을 내셔서 내 속에 그 마음을 굉장히 평온한 마음으로 바꿔서 이길 수 있다는 긍정적인 마음으로 갈 때 굉장히 좋은 결과가 여러분들한테도 저처럼 똑같이 나타나리라고 확신을 합니다. 힘내십시오. 감사합니다.
Ellen Eidler of Rutgers University discovered that people who have positive thoughts about their health are in fact healthy.
The physical experience of heart disease. About heart disease, they did not report
People
that
who
they had
believe
heart
that they are
disease or know
healthy
that. Went to Europe
actually live long and healthy lives.
518 people. We found that people who rated their health as poor were much more likely to die in the next 4 or 7 years than people who said their health was excellent. And this was even when we took into account what physicians said about their health, what their health records were with hospitalizations or nursing home care, or their levels of disability and chronic conditions. So when we were comparing people with similar levels of what we might call objective health or actual health status, the subjective perception of how well they were doing, which they told us by saying excellent, good, fair, or poor, was a very strong predictor of mortality.
Dr. Simonton, famous for his study on the correlation between cancer and the mind, regularly holds gatherings at his home.
Imagining them as an ally. Imagine how everything that you're doing. To imagine or think about
These
all the
people,
things that
meditating
you're doing
under
to get
Dr.
well.
Simonton's guidance, are doctors and experts in the field of psychoneuroimmunology.
Right now. So if you have cancer now, you're just asking your body to do what it's always done very naturally. So that it's not just a matter of, oh, sit down and imagine this, that. No, I need to have a sense that this is important. This is important for my well-being, and that I'm doing something important for myself as I imagine myself getting better, as I imagine myself getting well.
One lousy grape is making me feel good.
Exactly.
I don't need a pill. I got a grape. Sometimes
what we want, and stay in an energetic space of joy and excitement around that, then the
psychological thing or anything like that. It just
When Carolyn fell ill with her third cancer, she changed her lifestyle. She is still busy, but it is different from the past when she was constantly bogged down with a busy schedule. She has lightened her workload and is at peace with herself. She still remembers to do things that bring her joy. She has discovered that it is not difficult to do this once you change the way you think.
One of the most effective ways of increasing our energy is by focusing on things that bring us joy and deep fulfillment, things that have deep meaning for us. And if our energy is quite low, then we simply use the process of conscious breathing. The conscious breathing that the Buddhists have developed so beautifully, and focusing on things that are, as we're consciously breathing, simply by focusing in as we breathe in, out as we breathe out. Then creating a little tiny smile just for ourselves by thinking about things that are refreshing and beautiful in this present moment.
I make sure that I do everything with joy, and I try to fill my life with joy. I was friendly, I know I was fairly happy, but I was very overworked. I didn't take time to smell the roses, is the great expression.
Carolyn and her husband spend time here once a week. They spend more time laughing than they do banging on drums. The quest for the blue bird can be one within all of us.